What's up, good people? Welcome to Ain't Nobody Ask Us Nothing podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Ain't Nobody Ask Us Nothing pod. And you can listen to us on any platform that you take in all your podcasts. And on today, we are discussing deadbeat dads versus baby mama drama.
Buckle up. Let's
time.
get ready to have a good time. I'm Coach Denise, and I really want to just invoke an opportunity for you to think about things. We are not here to solve nobody's problems, because really ain't nobody asked us nothing. But I can tell you we want you to have some conversations in your friend groups, in your family, and maybe even with your baby mama drama person or your deadbeat daddy person, whoever that person might be. We really want to just have conversations. I want to say that this particular podcast is really intended for a mature audience, so please be protective of little ears that might be around you while we're having this conversation. And also, please remember, ain't nobody asked us nothing, but we're going to tell you what we think and what we feel.
Amen.
So, Ken, how did we get here? How did we even get to the point where we have to talk about deadbeat dads and baby mama drama?
Well, I think the catalyst in getting us into these situations, we have unplanned pregnancies, uncommitted relationships, and we have unaligned expectations. We're having children without discussion, without communication, and I think that leads us down a road where unless things just magically line up,
right,
that we're going to have some issues when it comes to raising our babies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's start with, how did we even come to this conversation between the two of us? I know with you, Coach, I'm calling you Coach. He is a football coach, or was and has always been. So once a coach, always a coach. But Ken will tell you he has no professional whatever, whereas I am a certified life coach. But Uncle Ken, tell us, how did we even come to this conversation between the two of us?
Okay, so we came to the conversation. We were discussing topics for the podcast. And when we were talking about baby mama drama, it seemed to come across as it's the man's fault that we have baby mama drama. And from my perspective, I think that we need to hold women accountable for some of this issue as well. Unless the man is, forcing himself on the lady in this case, then they both made a mistake. They both conceived a child without a commitment to each other. But it seems like we take everything from the woman's perspective on what she now expects the father to do, when technically the father doesn't have a say in whether or not this baby, comes to fruition. He had a say in starting the process, but, not that we condone abortion or anything like that, but that decision is primarily the mother's position on whether that baby comes to be. And I think that we are careless in the act of procreation. We're more interested in the potential immediate gratification than what happens down the line. But I think that the disbursement of who's at fault here may be one-sided.
So one of the things that I often have conversations with my own children is we can have a few minutes of pleasure that result in a lifetime of consequences. And what I think happens in these situations is it's true. We have some immediate opportunities, and then we have a lifetime of consequences. And what I'm hearing you say is you feel that there's some blame versus accountability, a lot of blame on the men when we have these unplanned pregnancies or uncommitted relationships, and then we have unaligned expectations. There's a lot of blame in or on the man in the relationship.
Yeah, that's what I observe, that whatever the mama says is what the problem is. There's no context in why isn't daddy around? Is daddy around because you made it so difficult? And I will speak on my personal situation.
Sure.
Many years ago, I had a son with a woman that I wouldn't say we were in a committed relationship.
Did she think y'all was in a committed relationship? That's the question. That's the question of the day and the hour.
Question, I don't know what she thought at the time.
Okay, all right.
But that's not it. I'm not bashing her. She good people.
Okay, hey, good people.
But
hey, girl, hey.
I'm be honest. I didn't want a child.
I see.
At the time, and I was dreading it happen. But once the child got here, I made a decision to make my life about that child rather than trying to fit the child. And I'll be honest, like I said, she good people, but she didn't make it easy to be around because she had her own agenda on what she wanted to happen, and maybe sometimes she used my son to try to get her agenda across. But I made a decision that I wasn't going to allow my son to grow up without me, because my feeling is our relationship was our relationship, not my son's. My son didn't have anything to do with our relationship outside of conception.
Right.
So any problems with that relationship, he shouldn't have to suffer for. So I just sucked it up, did what I had to do. Even when she made it difficult, I still made sure that I did what I had. And eventually, she accepted that, her agenda wasn't going to come to fruition, and we co-parented beautifully with my son. But there's a lot of other people who, we see it personally or via television and TV shows, which may reflect real life, because I still hesitate to believe that reality TV is actually reality
right.
all the time.
Right.
But, some parents, and particularly in this situation right now, I'm talking about moms, use the baby as a pawn. So they have things that they want. Sometimes you have women who think that child support is support for them as well. And sometimes you have to wonder, as a single mom, do you think all the financial responsibility of the child is the father's responsibility?
Right.
And then, of course, you have cases where men didn't want children. They just decide to heck with it, and I'm just not going to be a part of it. I didn't have a say on whether the child, was born, but I do have a say on whether or not I participate. And those are your deadbeat dads right there.
So you brought up a few points, and I think that we're going to navigate through them through this particular episode. And mind y'all, listen out there, family. This may be a heavy conversation, but we do want you to just relax and know that this is a conversation. And sometimes those conversations can be heavy, but we're going to try to have a good time today, too. So a couple of things that I'm hearing from you that I want to glean and kind of stretch a little bit. We want to talk about manipulation. There's a couple of things that you said, and I want us to get into the power of manipulation on both parts, right? But I also want to lead into relationship versus reality and what that really means. So I'm hearing you say that we as a society, coming from the African American, the Black American perspective, because that's where, that's how we align. That's our identities. Child support versus mom support. I hear you talk about that. I want to bring in a conversation as well with regards to child support. And is it child support, or is that dad having, trying to exert control in the household and uses the monetary gain or monetary transaction as a way to control the household? I know one of the conversations we had was you feel like child support should be specifically for the child and nothing else, meaning the money has to 100% go to the child, whereas I believe that if the child is with the custodial parent, then the child support supports the house, not just Timmy gets, or Ray Ray or whoever gets 100% of that money. That money is going towards the house. So talk to me a little bit about how you feel that should be navigated.
Okay. I agree that it goes toward the house because if Timmy is living in that house,
right,
a portion of it should go to the house because that is where his roof is.
Right.
So, and under that roof, we got light bills.
Right, of course.
So all that should be factored in the support for the child. But
right,
in many cases, you have some women who believe that the father should be paying all that. And your hair and your nails is not part of Timmy's support. Timmy doesn't care if his mom's hair is done or nails are done. So I think that the child support should be seen as support for the child, whether it goes directly to things to the child or indirectly, such as groceries go directly,
right,
but not
right,
all the groceries. Child ain't the only one eating in the house. The light bill, the gas bill, all that the child needs that in that house. So yes, but not 100% of it. The mom still has financial responsibility toward that child also.
Absolutely. I get that. But what I do think is because of multiple factors, whether it be another conversation about how men are higher earners than women in America, that's not a fallacy, that's a fact. How those kinds of things contribute to the formula in which we have child support. But what I also think is important to understand, even the point about groceries. I have no desire to delineate how much my child is eating versus how much I'm eating or whatever that, and we live in multi-generational houses typically as a black family. So grandmama Nam is living in the house with you too. So you want us to delineate how many eggs is going to the child versus how many eggs is going to the grandma versus me? I think that's absolutely not realistic. But I do hear you that there is a perception that we as women are taking advantage of the monetary or the financial support that comes from the other parent. But I strongly disagree that it is primarily for us as women to get our hair and our nails and all those other things done. That's something to me that is just very reckless and irresponsible when we're talking about us as a community.
Okay, so first of all, nobody said primarily going to hair and nails. I just named that as one of the things that
for sure,
that you will see in your observation. And as a parent outside of the household, I do not control your household.
Exactly.
Okay, so the fact that you choose to have 8 other people live in your house is not my responsibility.
Right.
My responsibility is, what we name him, Timmy?
Timmy or Ray Ray, whatever. You know your name.
Okay, so my responsibility is for Timmy's well-being and Timmy's upkeep. So if you got 8 people living in the house, I'm only responsible for 1/8 of your household utilities and rent. I'm not saying that all my money to Timmy needs to go to Timmy's clothes, Timmy's education, and Timmy's blah, blah, blah. Yes, it needs to go to the household thing, but only 1/8 of it. If you got 8 people living in there, I'm responsible for 1/8 of that household. And I have no problem with the formula that you spoke of that the courts use, but of course we know that our people generally stay away from the courts because we don't trust them. But if we're going to use that formula, that formula needs to be respected. If mama going into the court looking for $2,000 a month and the court say, no, you're only getting $1,500 a month, then we need to respect that amount, not go home still desiring $2,000 and acting like dad isn't doing what he's supposed to do because he's not giving you that extra $500 that the court has allotted to you. So I have no idea what the formula is.
Right.
I ain't have to go to court. So,
right.
I don't know what that formula is. So do you know?
Well, it does. It
Okay.
varies from state to state, and every state has their own formula talking about the cost of living and how much the parent makes versus how much the custodial parent makes, things like that. But I can say I hear you, and there are some things that I'm in alignment with. But at the end of the day, where this comes in is more talking about relationship, right? And how what you mentioned is that sometimes you feel, or in your observation, the mom will speak negatively about the father or complain about not getting as much funds as the mother. And in many, go ahead.
That's a two-way street.
Yes.
I'm not saying that, I never said that the mom speaks negatively of the father and left it there. Fathers do the same.
Yeah, they do.
To mothers. They
Right.
talk negatively about the other parents. Let's use the word parent instead of mom and dad, so we can remove the genders. That parents, sometimes because they don't like the other parent or have a problem with the other parent, seem to want the child on their side when they should actually be shielding the child from their relationship issues, because their relationship issues are their relationship.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have a situation where the mom is talking bad about dad talking bad about mom to the child.
Right.
So I just wanted to clear that up, that we ain't just talking about moms, and we ain't saying all moms. So if moms, get out your feelings if you in your feelings about it. If you're in your feelings, chances are we talking about you.
Oh my gosh.
And dads, get out your feelings, because if you're in your feelings, chances are we talking about you too.
Well, I'm going for the feelings because listen, what I am imagining is oftentimes we are in these situations because, like we started at the top of the podcast, it's an an unplanned pregnancy. It ain't unexpected because the minute that you have a sexual relationship with someone, you should either expect that there could be a baby that is produced from this situation, or an STI or something. When you are making the choice to have a sexual relationship with someone, you should know that there may be some lifetime consequences that come with that relationship. But here we have unplanned pregnancies, uncommitted relationships, and unaligned expectations, which means that somehow, some way, there might be some feelings. And I think that in these relationships, where especially that produces a child, I think that both parents manipulate and use that power of manipulation to blame, but also use that power of manipulation to have to use the feelings as fuel to get what they want, whether that be control, whether that be more finances, whether that be the word on the street about them being a deadbeat dad, or or what do we call it, baby mama drama. At the end of the day, I think sometimes misery does love company, and we keep these unhealthy, non-productive relationships going just so we can have that drama in our life. And what happens is the children wind up being collateral damage.
Right. I don't have a problem with you having feelings. My problem is when you impugn your feelings
Right.
upon your child. That's what your girlfriends and your boys are for. When you want to cry about your baby mama and talk trash about, talk it to them, not to your child. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you feel about mama, it's still your child's mama.
Right.
No matter how you feel about daddy, it's still your child's father. And those relationships should be separate.
Right.
And in many cases, we use our children in our gripe against the other parent. And honestly, this wouldn't even be an issue if we were just more responsible people going
Correct.
in. If your pull-out
Correct.
game weak, then don't use the pull-out game. And
I hear you.
I mean, it's
But,
just
scientifically, I don't know
that
about
simple. But
Right.
What started our whole conversation was, I feel that there tends to be no female accountability for. Okay, that dude wasn't S, because I don't know if we cussing on here
Well,
or
he
not.
said it's a mature conversation, but
so
whatever.
if that dude wasn't shit, he wasn't shit when you picked him. You picked a no shit dude. Okay, but somehow you seem to escape accountability that you picked a no shit dude. So be more, knowledgeable about the people that you giving your cookies to.
Not the cookies.
Yeah, be more knowledgeable about those people. Don't feel. And ladies, I'm gonna give you some advice. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say 95% of you. If you sleep with that dude on the first night, he is never gonna be your man.
Wow.
Because very few dudes are that self-secure that they think you the only one that he's sleeping with. Mm-hmm. So, save yourself. Get to know him. Get to find out what the personality is. Don't wait until you with child to find out that he ain't shit.
But let me tell you where I'm going to challenge us in this conversation. So I get slightly disappointed when we have these kinds of conversations and we negate to remember that the type of people we are as human beings, male and female, and we're not going down that conversation. Mm-hmm. However, what I find is that men will tease or bargain relationship and love in exchange for sex. So on one hand, you say something like, don't give it up, don't give up the cookies on the first night. Well, then men, don't put yourself in that same situation where you are bargaining sex for love and relationship and the promises thereof if you don't have any desire to have respect for this woman in the first place. Secondly, and that may be a little bit of me going off the rails, but just work with me here. Work with me here, family.
I'm listening.
The second thing is I am tired of men being able to be sexually liberated 100% of the time, and women are expected to be wholesome, accountable, all of the things that are in alignment. Here we have a situation where two grown folks, and we're talking about grown-ups, I'm not talking about immature, non-adult figures, right? Grown-ups have made a conscious decision. You don't accidentally have sex. There is a process in which that happens. And so when you have on purpose, intentionally had sex with each other, then somebody walks away and talking about they don't have respect for the other. You needed to have enough respect for yourself to not be laying down with somebody, whether you're a male or female, no matter your gender identity, laying down with somebody on the first night. Then we have a pregnancy. So we have responsibility, we have accountability, we have blame, we have a financial commitment. This is a lifetime consequence for you to have silly intentions for a moment of pleasure.
Okay, so I'm agreeing with most of it. Again, I never said that men are blameless. I'm saying that they get an unfair share of the blame. Unless that brother is committing a crime,
right?
He does not control this whether or not we have sex or not.
What you mean?
He doesn't control it.
How does he not control it?
Because
so men are just have no type of self-control, self-discipline, that they just body goals escapes from them.
They should, but again, the way you just posed that question was that the men need to
both need
do it.
to.
They both, and yes. I agree. They both need to be more considerate of each other. But at the end of the day,
yes.
If the woman does not allow this man to have sex, not having sex. Because if you do, it's called a crime. You don't watch SUV?
First of all, I hear you. Now, I want to go in so many different directions, family, but I'm going to stay germane to this conversation. So no matter how the sexual act happens outside of a crime, no matter how the sexual act happens, and we now result in a child, or in many situations, children, because the sexual act continues to happen even after the original unplanned pregnancy, an uncommitted relationship, and unaligned expectations. How do we go from blame, accountability to possibly co-parenting? How can we move from the first three tenets that we talked about, right, which is unplanned pregnancy, uncommitted relationships, unaligned expectations, to having the ability to raise children in an environment that is safe, secure, and secure also means financially, safe, secure, and loving. How do we move from one thing to the other? And remember, ain't nobody asked us nothing, but here we are talking about it. So what do you think, Uncle Ken?
One, that is a whole conversation itself that we ain't gonna have time to get to today.
Okay, well, get to something.
So we had it. So let's wrap this up. Let's talk about how to avoid that.
Yes.
That situation. People, let's be aligned in our expectations. We need to have more conversation with our sexual partner.
Right.
We need to have an understanding of where we are now. If you just want to be freaky deaky and jumping, go right ahead. But they still sell condoms at the pharmacy, right?
Almost everywhere.
All right, you can buy condoms. Again, I can't stress enough. If your pull-out game is weak or you don't have the discipline, I ain't bought a condom in over 20 years, so I don't know what kind they got now.
Is that a humble brag? What are you doing?
Ain't no brag. It's just because of my, life situation. I don't need condoms. I've been in committed relationship. They call them marriages, right? Okay.
I heard that somewhere in America. There's somebody getting married.
So I haven't had to buy them, but I'm sure they still sell them. Have some, have some fear. Let's have some good, healthy fear that this may not turn out. She got a big booty and all that, and you want that. But have some healthy fear that, hey, this may turn into something else that we don't want.
Right.
So, maybe wait a little while to find out how you feel about this person. And if you and this person both agree, the key word is agree, that this isn't going to be an ongoing relationship. This is just fun for the meantime. Take the necessary precautions that you're not bringing somebody else in this world, tormenting their life with your
forever,
with your silliness, and just do what you need to do. Have the conversations so you have the same expectations that whether or not you committed to each other, and plan your pregnancy when we're ready. Because just because you're married don't mean you're ready to have kids.
That's true.
Kids cost a grip, and you may not be financially, able to support a child. So just because you're married don't mean you need to have a child. So plan your pregnancies and just be considerate that whatever the outcome is, when you're engaging in relations with another person,
right,
the outcome impacts their life. And God forbid you bring a third person in there. We're talking about the children, not threesome. You bring a third person in there.
We knew what you meant.
I just want to make sure.
Okay.
That you're not, bringing a child in this world and negatively impacting their life. Be prepared to raise this child so they can be a productive human being and live a successful life. That's all I'm saying. But when we were just talking about the whole thing, it just seemed like, why is all this the dude's fault? He didn't do this by himself.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Obviously, it ain't there's a lot of folks out here, that may disagree or even agree with what we talked about today. But what I will say is it does take two people. And I think when we started our podcast today, our episode today, having unaligned expectations, you really, really need to talk to each other. Everything that you said, I don't want to reiterate, but I will say that this is a very sensitive situation because many of our households, I know you don't like statistics and you don't want me to throw out a lot of data, so I'll save that. But I really encourage us to do our research, especially when it comes to the black family here in America. Look at the data. How many of the custodial parents in these relationships are women? How many of, our relationships that are navigated because of children, how many of those conversations are had outside of the court and, like living room, phone call conversations versus our, white counterparts in those communities where they go to court and have things in a formal, documented way. And we can go down another episode, and I hope we do, where we talk about trauma that is cultural and, behavioral traumas because of post-enslavement. We can really talk about how we are dealing with each other as a community. What I can say is I learned this recently from one of my sorors, and once I say it, I think you're going to know who you are. She says that she drives a car and she speeds all the time down the highway without, of course, she's trying to be very careful not to hurt anybody or hurt other people or hurt herself. But she says she speeds because she got speeding ticket money. So in other words, if you don't got speeding ticket money, you might be a little bit more cautious. And you can move yourself out the way into them other lanes, but stay out the speeding lane, right? And I hear you saying something similar. We need to be cautious and careful, because if you are not ready to have a child, then maybe those are the conversations we need to be having before we enter into a sexual relationship. Even if it's one time, it has now become a relationship. And then my final things that I will say is three things. Responsibility is about your actions, okay? Accountability is about ownership. And then co-parenting is about collaboration. When you are in a position to where you are giving birth to a child, no matter what the previous expectations or what the previous circumstances called for, now you have a child. It is time for you to put the feelings that you are fueling drama, put that stuff aside. If you don't have speeding ticket money, you might want to be careful and, like you say, wrap it up and not be out here in these streets having sex unprotected. If you ain't got speeding ticket money, stay out that speed lane, right? Move on the reverse side and let somebody else who is mature enough, both parties, to have a relationship to move forward. Once that child is in existence, it is so important that we co-parent, we love, we offer stability, financial stability, emotional stability, all the things, and leave the drama and all that deadbeat conversation, leave that outside of the relationship with the child. And from there, I think that we can grow as a community. But as I've stated several times, ain't nobody asked us nothing. What you think, Ken?
I agree with all of that. And as we said, this is not a professional opinion. It's just what we think. So, we just hope that we get y'all thinking too, because some of us ain't thinking. So we're going to wrap this up. We want to thank you for joining us here. Ain't nobody ask us nothing. We want to thank our producer Fox and our engineer Taylor for being on duty and helping us get this done. Don't forget to check us out on IG and Facebook. Like, subscribe, and share. And we're at Ain't Nobody Ask Us Nothing Pod, and you can listen to us everywhere that you listen to your podcast. So, get in those comments. Let us know what you think. We're anxious to hear your opinions, and we'll probably continue this at a later date. It's so much that we could talk about in so many areas we can go into. But once again, we thank you for joining us, and just remember, this is our opinion, because ain't nobody ask us nothing.